15. He cares very much what he looks like.
You're like, all right, thank you.
All right,
We were all that age.
We're going to go ahead and call the Public Works Committee meeting for May 27th to order. I just need, if there's no objection, we'll go ahead and we'll just accept the agenda because there's not much on it tonight, thank goodness. But I do need our item. Is there a problem with the acceptance of the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move right along to the minutes. I need a motion.
Motion.
All right.
Second.
And there's been a motion and a proper second for the approval of April 22nd meeting minutes. Any additions or corrections on it? Hearing none, is everybody ready to vote? All in favor of the approval signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, it passes unanimously. There are no citizens' comments this evening because actually it's a quiet night. Guess everybody's getting ready for the budget. There are no citizens here this evening. And there are no ordinances or resolutions on the agenda for this evening. So we're moving right along. We'll go to other agenda items, and that is our trash collection update.
Not much to report. The reported misses have been pretty low. Our average is less than 10 reported per day. And then today, the day after a holiday, we did not have very many reported misses at all. I was very surprised. So the communications are getting out, which is great news.
Super. Anybody have any issues with the trash?
No,
We didn't get any calls at all on it, so I was very pleased with that. Alderman Roberson, do you have anything on the trash?
Just that after the storms Friday night, there were several trees down in Ward 6, and staff got on them really quick. They were there within an hour after citizens called, and so I just please thank the staff for taking care of those trees that were in the roads.
Oh, well, thank you.
All right. That was good. It seems like we have a storm every other day now.
Yes, it does.
I could tell you a story, but I'm not going to, about a tree that fell in my yard. But it was by the lake, and so it was the Corps of Engineers, and so I was just going to have our guys let me back up, not the city's people, but my own people that take care of mom's, area. And I was going to have them chop it up, and they said, leave it alone. Cool, because I called them, I did the right thing. And I said, okay, no problem. So I'll wait till it gets warmer, and then all of a sudden, it's like those deer with deer food or feed, somebody's been feeding them down there. It's going to be like that tree. So it's going to be gone. I'm sure. I just have a feeling because the way that it's half in the water and half on their property. So I don't know. We'll see. The item number 2 is I'm not going to make the same mistake again as the PAT LED lights. I still laugh about that one. The conversion. Okay, go ahead. That's what we got.
So this is a continuation of our discussion last month. We were asked to get some more information about funding comparisons. And so also there was a discussion of potentially funding parks for LED as well. So we have William Franklin is on Zoom with us.
Hello, how are you? Good to see you this evening. All right.
With Path. I think that I may defer to, I think Jesse maybe had some information about the funding portion of it. But okay.
Okay.
But we requested information from NES regarding,
Yes.
Their ratings and what their funding might look like. They had stated they thought they would be able to share that with us, but I've followed up several times and they have not shared that information to date. So we don't have that information as a comparison to what their rating and funding may look like compared to ours.
Okay.
But
Now, their funding would be them to do it and us to pay them
yes, over time.
over time.
Mm-hmm. So they would take out a bond.
But they would keep the lights. Now, under this proposal passed, would we take ownership of the poles, or would NES still own them?
They still own and maintain.
So we'd still have a monthly maintenance fee, not for the light component. So it would be much less than what we're paying now. Because now we're paying a fee for pole maintenance and light maintenance, correct?
Yes, so we have materials that we're paying on, they call the plant. So what they've already done for like light replacements, things like that, not to LED, but just general maintenance, that goes into the plant fee. And so that gets paid back over roughly 20 years. They break that up.
Okay.
So part of what's proposed here is to pay off the plant for these. And so, yes, there would be some reduction there in that invoice on top of the energy savings.
So does the proposal, the mayor put in his budget 2.5 million for LED light conversion and 600,000 for park LED light conversion. So is that based on what Pat provided? Where did we come up with those numbers?
Yeah, there's 2.3 million in the budget for the street lights.
Okay.
And that is a number that Pat came up with. Recently, NES has done a survey of the street lights, so they feel fairly confident. And William, you can correct me if I misstate, but William said they feel fairly confident because NES has recently inventoried the entire city. The 600,000 for the parks was just a grouping of some of the LEDs that the park, some lights at the park could convert to LED. There's more than 600,000 in the parks if you were to do them all at one time, substantially more. But the mayor put in 600,000 so that we could start just chipping away and not going into debt in the parks. And then I think the idea was kind of to stay out of debt, and that's why there's the infusion, the one-time project in here for the city streetlights, and then chipping away at the parks.
So after the let's say the 600,000 is implemented, what percentage of the park lights will we have done with that amount? Will we be 50% or 60%?
15%.
William, do you have that spreadsheet that shows all the park? Yeah, I think William's got an inventory of that.
I do. And so I'm happy to show the spreadsheet, or I can just go ahead and tell you generally what it would cost to go ahead and cover all the lights. That 600,000, unfortunately, is not going to reach, frankly, even 25% of them. I say that there might be some strategic way from a just number of lights standpoint. We might be able to increase that, but it's a substantial sports lighting budget given to the city by Musco, who's the provider of the equipment itself.
But William, I don't think you're including the number of LED lights or the portion of LED lights we already have in the park.
So no, Mayor, I'm not entirely confident that we are properly accounting for it. You know, what we did, and if it helps, I'm happy to share something. What we did is we took a previous budget given by Musco. Again, this is the preferred lighting manufacturer for the Parks Department. And we would work alongside them, right, and just installing their equipment. We used their prior budgets, updated inventories from their knowledge of the system. It does not mean that that is entirely accurate, though, based on any other prior conversions. Do you know, Mayor, so like I'm looking at a budget from December of 2024, and my understanding is this is inclusive of all lights yet to be converted.
Okay,
That's been significant.
yeah, that's probably accurate, but I don't know
Okay.
what portion we actually already have converted. So we're having a hard time answering your question, or where we would be throughout all of Drakes Creek Park at that point. I mean,
I see. Okay.
somewhere above 50%, I would guess.
So can we put that as an action item to get that information from parks? With the 600,000, what percentage of lights in our parks will be LED?
In all our parks or just Drakes Creek Park?
All of our parks.
Okay.
Because most of the newer parks have LED, don't they? The rugby fields are LED. The field at Volunteer Park is LED. So I'd like to be able to understand the scope of what that gets us in the parks. And I don't mean to dominate.
No, sure, go ahead.
So-
It's important.
So what percentage of lights, street lights, are NES lots in the city. I know the street lots in parts of Ward 6 are Cumberland. So do we know this 2.3 million, how far that will get us in replacing all of our street lots?
I think it's about 90%, 80% NES.
It's a significant portion. I'm gonna pull it up here real quick so I can give you an actual number.
Yeah. It's most of them.
But it wouldn't touch the Cumberland. It doesn't
That's correct.
That's right.
convert Cumberland.
That's right.
Would it include street lots in neighborhoods that are NES?
Yes,
If they're on the city's
Yeah.
account.
correct.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
Is Cumberland participating in this program or not?
No, no.
Okay.
Yeah, our account with them is very different. So we could work with them for them to replace the street lights that are, just the arm off of the pole, but the cover head, I couldn't think of the word. But the rest of them that are decorative, they don't own or maintain at all. So that would be for the city
Okay.
to do, which we could also chip away at.
So the 2.5 that's in the mayor's budget, is that included in all 5 of the scenarios we're gonna look at later today?
Yes. It is mine. It is scenario 5. I'm
Yeah.
not sure about yours and Mark, Jeff's, but it is in 5.
All right, is the 2.5 coming out of general or there's a debt service?
No, it's coming out of the non-operating. Non-operating. Our unassigned fund balance.
That's one that can't go to salaries and stuff?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Is that right? Isn't that right, Jesse?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So us approving the budget, Mayor,
Mhm.
does not mean that we are approving LED streetlight conversion. That will have to be an ordinance, correct? Or
I would certainly come back to this committee. The money's there, but at some point we have to choose a vendor.
yes,
I would come back to this committee. I feel like I can choose that vendor. We have all the time. We take bids on projects, and Jesse and I and Sarah choose that, or Jesse, and Andy Gilly. But a project this big, I'd come back. I don't think it needs board approval. Do you think I'm wrong?
No, I think it would be, once the actual money passes, it would be an administrative, I mean, this is my opinion. It would be an administrative, but we would obviously, I would think, it would be an administrative issue, but I sure would appreciate it coming back, just to let us know. Because like I was gonna ask you guys, do you all know of your respective, well, let me back up. But to answer your question, and you might have some more in there, because my next question is not related to that, so I'll hold off on that. But that's my opinion. Now, you all may feel differently. But I don't know that you need a freestanding ordinance on that. I mean,
The money's there.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, and you've approved it.
Yeah.
So it would, to me, it'd be, again, an administrative issue. And then you just let us know with something with that kind of money. I think you're smart to just let the board know what's going on.
The only thing I can imagine is if we get bids back that go outside the parameters of just LED replacement.
Yes, sir. I think, yeah.
I think that, and William, I think he has the specifics, but there's something with the LED conversion of selecting a qualified contractor consultant for that. You don't actually have to go to bids. Would you share that again, William?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, so there's a unique code statute in the state of Tennessee, and I say unique, it exists in every state, but the code statute in Tennessee is 124110. And it allows for projects that are procured on the basis of energy savings, of course, which this very much falls underneath it, where you can be procured just as you would any other professional service. So if the city was to hire an engineering firm, an architecture firm, or a law firm, to do work. You hire based on qualifications, not on official bids.
Which we do administratively all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
And did you say that's under Tennessee Code annotated 124110? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right,
That's correct.
I'm gonna take a look at that because with that kind of money, I believe you, but
Sure.
I'd like to review that because I honestly didn't know about that. But that's good to know.
Absolutely.
Now, the board always has the authority to pass a resolution or to say, just while we're passing the budget, we want this to come back to the board later on. At that point, I mean, I would argue that I don't have to, but I'd be foolish to not do it.
Right.
Well, I'd like for it to come back because, 2.3 million, if that's what, I thought it was 2.5, but regardless, if budget goes south, if revenues go
Makes
south,
sense. Yeah,
we might need to
makes sense.
punt on it
You're right.
for
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah,
you know.
I will absolutely bring it back here and take y'all's input when we get bids on it.
So, what's his name?
William.
William, do you have the spreadsheet that shows our annual savings in energy cost? Could you put it on the screen?
I do, yes, sir. Give me just 2 seconds. I'm about to show you. Make sure I'm sharing correctly on Zoom. I have to refamiliarize myself here. All right, so share. You guys can see this PowerPoint. Is that accurate?
Can you enlarge it
I bet I can. Let me see here.
a little more for old men?
Let's see. How about this? Can you see it now? Better?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so this spreadsheet attempts to show, right, all the key metrics behind this project so that the true net cost is that 2.3 million. You can see it's actually a couple $100 under that. But if you look over here on the far right-hand side, you can see the savings broken down. So here, these are annualized numbers, and these numbers are not showing the annual escalation that you will actually see from your side. But generally speaking, you're saving $100,000 on the energy component of your bill and 56,000, almost 57,000 on the investment charge. That's that portion that Sarah had referred to, talking about the plant itself.
150,000.
That's correct.
That saves operating expenses because now we
Yes.
pay that higher fee in operating. So that would free up that much money in operating revenues, correct, Jesse? Yeah, 150,000. I thought it was more than that, but okay.
It's 162.98. I'm not sure if you're able to see my mouse here. It's kind of circling the number to the right of the red box.
Okay. Okay.
Not that it's substantially more than 150, but it's 160,000.
Okay.
So, William, you can correct me if I'm wrong too, but Alderman Robertson, you said you thought it was about 2.5 million. And the total cost, if you can see at the bottom, it says financing amount without rebates, 2.584. That is because there's a rebate component of it. So there's 284,000 in rebates
From TVA.
Yes. So the cost, I think net cost to us is 2.3.
Okay.
So from a budget perspective, we would have to budget the 2.58 and then we get back $280,000. But net to us, it's 2.3.
So is that rebate going away with the new administration?
It's currently still on the books. How much longer, I think, is debatable.
Okay.
And TV has been promoting it for a couple of years, so I would hope they would let us know that it's in jeopardy, if it's in jeopardy.
And what's pushing us to this point, other than the operational savings? Has NES contacted us and said, "Hey, y'all got to do something," or what's the impetus behind this?
They're planning their 5-year conversion. It's a high priority for NES to have all of their service area converted to LED. And so in order to plan, they're wanting to know what our plans are because we've been asking them for information off and on for a couple of years. So they know we've been talking about it. So for them, it's really just planning. It doesn't matter to them whether we do it or they do it because they're net zero anyways. It's just going to cost them what it's going to cost them to do the project, and it goes into the plant and they don't care. But they just need to be able to plan.
So my initial impetus for this was hearing going to mayor's conferences and hearing folks like Path or folks like the different companies that put this together, and them showing us that legitimately the federal government is probably going to require this in the next several years. I don't want to be out there racing against every other city. I'd rather be ahead of every other city. Just because I can imagine what the costs are like when businesses that do this have more demand than they have supply when it comes to providing these changes.
So if we don't do it, TVA is going to do it within 5 years. And what will be our cost? What's the comparison of cost waiting 5 years and let NES do it? They'll put that cost on us. Will we see any savings when they do that?
Likely not. We don't have those numbers because it'll just depend on what costs are at that time when they do the project. But they're going to finance it. They'll do a bond for it and then budget for it. So we'll pay their financing costs over 20 years to do the project.
So I guess,
Alderman,
yes.
Alderman, if I might add to that, what you would see, if you guys can still see the screen, you would see a substantial drop in your energy savings when they do that. But due to the fact that they're going to cover the cost, your investment charge is going to skyrocket because they're going to need to recover their costs. And the net impact of that likely would be a net bill increase instead of a significant drop, which you would receive now.
So can we get that information before we have to make a decision? I mean, would the staff want that information from NES, or is it even possible?
It's not possible.
Okay.
They've given us their estimates, which they say are the same as what Path would charge us because they use Path
They do use that. Okay.
to manage the project and then use a contractor.
Okay. Let's stay on this issue for right now. Any other questions on this? Mayor, do you have anything that we need to?
All good conversation.
Okay.
I was just on the calculator going over the list that Musco provided, and it's just south of 3 million for the parks, for all the LEDs in the parks. So it's a substantial amount of lights in the parks.
Yeah.
So the 600,000 would just be a chunk. Yeah. And then Musco gave us, they gave us estimates. So if we do it this year, it's X amount of dollars, and then they escalated the next couple of years. So just depends which year you do it. The price is going to change a little bit.
But is this a priority for the parks to get this done? I haven't talked to Andy, but is this a priority for the parks to get this done?
I think the bulbs are getting harder and harder to find replacements.
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons why we at least get started on it.
We also have one fixture that has had 2 fires in the past year and a half.
Fires. Well, if we don't get the grant that we have put, the $6 million grant, that will free up some money in the PIP account for parks. So, I mean, I hope we get it.
Yeah, I think we all hope we get it.
I hope we get it,
But if we don't,
but I can do more than 600,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
all right, anybody else? Thank you for that information. I was going to ask, first of all, are we through with all that, with anything else that will come from these guys? I was going to ask you earlier, and this, I'm just curious, like, for example, in Alderman Bergdorf's ward and my ward, both, all of us are NES. We're all straight up NES. We don't have any of Cumberland. In the old days when I was an alderman in Ward 3, we did. But what are the percentages, or do you all know for you guys? Like, how much in like Ward 6 and 2 that is Cumberland versus NES? What's the percentage? Like, do you know?
Question.
I know. I'm just curious as to that.
The northern end of Ward 6
Right.
is Cumberland.
Okay.
The southern end, Wessington,
Right.
Creekwood, those are NES.
Okay.
So the further north you go toward Durham Farms, all of Durham Farms is Cumberland, all of Drake's Point, all of Autumn Creek, all of, some of Ward 5 also on Anderson
Mhm.
are Cumberland.
Yes.
So
I'm looking for a map.
Cumberland doesn't have any presence on NES, right? Or on a Main Street.
No, I
They're
don't
up
think
north.
so. They're just north of.
Yes,
Main
they're
Street.
So I'd say
They
Ward
would.
2 has 0.
Yeah.
I would, okay, yeah,
They're
I
more
was,
of a county distributor.
yeah, I don't know that I was thinking just right offhand.
now,
I'm not sure about two.
what about our subdivisions with NES, like Ward 1, that are not on the street account? If they wanted to convert it to LED, what would be the process for those neighbors that have a street light because they want to do more than what the city does? It still helps illuminate the road.
Mhm.
It's going to kind of look hodgepodge. Some of them will be LED and some won't be. So have you thought about consistency?
So you're talking about if they have a Cobra head that they pay for privately
Yes,
through NES? So
on the street.
they can request NES to replace it with an LED for their account.
But path wouldn't be associated with that
No,
conversion.
no, no.
Hmm.
And those one-offs, I mean, there aren't a ton of those in the city, but I think those one-offs would be easily manageable by NES and their normal maintenance operations.
Okay.
We're talking about LED lights, Andy, in the parks. And this $600,000 that's in the mayor's budget, when I asked the question, if we fund that, what percentage of lights in the parks would be LED? I know that doesn't get them all, but can you guess what the,
I think we have approximately 3 million left to get them all. We have already spent approximately $1 million, maybe $1.5 million. So I'm gonna say we'd be right at what's
4.5 million
yeah,
total.
I'll say we've probably spent around 2 of 5.5 million that would be needed. So we're about a third or more. The 600,000 would need to be used to attack some of our worst ones. We have an area of soccer that is bad, and we have 2 of our baseball, softball fields that are really bad.
I told about the fires.
And tennis is one that goes out a lot, where we have bulbs go out a whole lot. So that's what, we kind of have a list of a comprehensive list that I gave to the PATH folks. And internally, we divided that into A, B, and C. So I think we would take that 600,000 and attack A.
how many fields will 600,000 get us? Additional fields?
I think with soccer, it would get our front soccer fields totally done. Field 7, 8, 9 would be with this one. And then we would look at tennis and field 12 and 5 at Drakes Creek Park.
Okay.
I don't know that we would be able to get all that, but it would be close.
And I know that we haven't used PATH in the past for LED, but this proposal is with LED, with PATH, correct?
We haven't used PATH, but PATH uses Musco, who we have used for
Okay.
all our LED lights.
Okay.
Yeah, this Musco's got it going on, I would tell you.
Yeah, they've been pretty strategically smart.
Yeah, I'll have to
But they've
say
also
that.
been the best in terms of their warranty and their customer service. And if it's 11 o'clock at night and a light goes out, I can call a 1-800 number and they have a technician.
So this price, that PATH guide, is it from Musco? And did you add on any kind of overhead with what they said they would do it for?
We did, absolutely. So the sports lighting budget that I had referred to, the sports lighting budget, which I don't have, well, I guess I'm not sharing it anymore. I can go back and reshare this here, if that's the question. Give me a second.
I guess I'm saying, would it be better for us just to deal with Musco and not let them deal with them and then charge an administrative
Right.
5% on top of what they're going to charge?
I would say so. He probably don't want to hear that, but he
Well,
would
No.
probably, he would probably also tell us that would be the way to do it.
I would absolutely tell you, I mean, and we clearly show, if you look, I'm sorry, I'm trying to show this again. We clearly show where we charge 10%, right? That is what we charge in order to cover. You guys can see this presentation now again, this athletic field lighting slide.
Right.
Okay. All right. So if you look down at the bottom, this is the total amount, much like the streetlight project where we're showing it before you take the incentives into consideration. So truly the project, the amount of lighting that remains to be converted is about $4 million. That's inclusive of Musco's equipment budget. That's inclusive of the installation quotes that we actually put together, not just the budgets, but the quotes that we put together. That's inclusive of a couple other things that are not included in their fees. And you can see down here at the bottom, this is, if you're trying to figure out how much money could you potentially save by going direct, I would tell you this. I would also raise my hand and tell you that's probably worth paying if you wanted to do the entirety of the scope. If, however, you want to do $600,000 this year and $400,000 next year, I would tell you you're probably just as well off to just allow them to self-manage that project. The scope is not going to be overwhelming to them.
So there's a management fee of 10%,
Correct.
and for $600,000, it would be $60,000 that you would add on to what Musco would do the work for, and you would just supervise it, correct?
That's correct. And to be clear, Musco themselves doesn't provide the install. Musco is the equipment provider. They would, if you went direct to them and did not have path, they would have a subcontractor who would come and work to install the lights. We would, of course, also have our subcontractor do it. We would manage the project for that 10% amount. That's correct.
And that's what scares me. I want to point to one person and say, this is your
Yeah.
responsibility.
Well, keep in mind too, if I may, there's only 2 licensed installers in the state of Tennessee for Musco. One of them lives in Hendersonville. The other one lives in Dixon. The one in Dixon has installed every light in our park. But we are very comfortable working with the one that lives in Hendersonville too. But they are sent everywhere, and everyone is converting to LED right now. So I can't look any of you in the eye and tell you, if we approve $4 million of LED lights, that could take 2 years because of our schedules, their schedules, weather. I mean, you got weather. If it rains and they're scheduled to install LED lights, they can't go back in the soccer fields and do that because they'll tear up the whole park. It's I mean, there's been times when we've approved. We started 5 or 6 years ago on a path. This was before COVID, of doing about 400,000 a year in LED lights and trying to target certain fields, certain places. And that's about all we could get done in a year. It's at that time, 400 now, probably 400 then is probably 600 now. So if you do that, you say, here's $4 million, it literally could take us 2 to 3 years to get to every project.
And that's what the mayor was saying. If NES starts requiring it, everybody's going to jump on board and want it. Plus, if the demand is high, the cost is going up.
Or if TVA or the EPA.
I don't think that the federal government's going to be pushing the Green Deal much. I don't think.
But that's what got me involved in this about 5 years ago, was seeing where we were with the federal government. I think you're probably right, is I think that's probably backed off. However, some of the information I've seen also is that as more people buy electric cars and have to plug those in and expect more from the electric grid, where's that electricity coming from?
Well, I just hope that staff would ask those questions and look at the incremental cost. Is this the best and the most efficient way that we can get the biggest bang from our bucks? I mean, we got to depend on y'all I'm not smart enough to figure that out, but y'all are. So
There is if you look at our chart that we have that lists every field that we don't have or facility that we don't have LED lights in, they give us a range It was like a 3-year range. And there is a $30,000 to $40,000 price difference in the range per field, 1 year versus 3 years. So I don't personally know, I'm not necessarily smart enough probably to say, is it smart to encumber the whole amount and get a contract and however long it takes, or is it smarter to just do it as we can afford it and schedule it? If that makes sense.
The other thing to think about, I think, with the fields too, is if you replace them all at the same time, replacements are probably all going to come up at the same time or similar time too. So that could be a consideration if you phase out your installation. Then as they go bad, they're phased out. So you don't have half your part going out in 1 year and half your part going out maybe your next year too.
So Andy, what kind of priority do you give this in parks? LED lights?
This would be a infrastructure wise, this would be a high priority for some of our facilities.
Okay.
The other thing, the unknown, is like right now, we signed a contract and a purchase order after one of our flood events. I can't remember if it was February or March, for around $20,000 worth of light work for a company to go around, replace bulbs, replace ballasts. That was over a month or two ago. And they are still trying to get the supplies to do the work on the ballast and the bulbs. I don't know how much that problem is going to continue to excel or exacerbate, or whatever the correct word is.
Exacerbate, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other discussion on this? So where are we exactly? Excuse me, just say this may be in the hospital. Okay. So where are we on this at this point? What do we, is this, I know it's obviously for information, but where do we need to go? Just continue on?
Pass the budget, and then
Yeah.
that will allow us to get with Path and move
Okay.
forward. And then I'll come back to y'all when we have options for an actual contractor.
Okay. All right. Good deal. Well, is there any questions at this point, guys, or that we need to know about, or that you have questions from us, or to William, or to Andy, or the mayor, or anybody, or anything at all? We're just in a, William, what we're waiting to see what the budget turns out tonight. And,
Sure.
but I hope that it's positive. But I just don't, I'm not going to put my head out there just quite yet, on the budget. Any further discussion from anybody? But thank you for anything, William, you need from us. Is
I don't believe so.
Okay.
No, I think I'm set. I'll just await further information from you guys.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, thank you for coming tonight. This Zooming thing's a good thing, man. And
it worked out well. I appreciate you guys setting it up.
Thank
sure.
Nice house.
Nice house.
Thanks.
Yeah.
We're on vacation, so it's.
Oh, okay. That explains that.
Go have fun.
Well, enjoy yourself on your
Thank you,
vacation.
guys.
Nice
Okay.
vacation.
All right, see you.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye now. That was pretty cool. Okay, that's funny. All right, well, it sounds pretty positive, really, I think, I think the mayor
I think we're
was,
behind the curve. and
Yeah, I
everybody
mean-
else. I think the sooner the better.
and I do too, and I think, Mayor, you were dead. When you tried this or started talking to us as a board about it years ago, you were dead on. And it turns out to be a reality, so chalk another one up for Cleary, right? That's good. Good man.
Appreciate y'all supporting this. And
Sure.
the conversation is great. I think William appreciates it too.
Yeah.
So, but I did notice Alderman Robertson, when you said y'all are smarter than I am, you looked at Sarah and Jesse. You looked right beyond.
Oh, shit. Okay, well, let's go on. Let's go on to the world famous light synchronization update.
We have movement, so it's positive. We have approved plans. We have an approved estimate. We got received right-of-way certification. So the two main things that we're waiting on just right now that they're check boxes is a reimbursement request, which we've submitted. So it'll take a couple weeks for them to process that. And then they want the finalized executed contract for the CEI, so the construction engineering consultant. So we've already selected someone. We've issued a notice of award and established a contract. They're reviewing it now.
Is it Kimley Horn?
No.
Oh, good.
It was Neil Schaefer.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
They're very experienced in this particular
Yeah, it's a
area.
blast from the past.
Yeah. And so when we get the executed contract, I would anticipate this week, maybe next, depending on their review timeline, we'll submit that to TDOT. A couple more hurdles, the biggest one being just finalizing the funding. So there's a certain amount of money in the tip, which it's showing to be sufficient based on what we have for an estimate right now. And then TDOT will go to FHWA to get that obligated for construction. So that is a process, of course.
Go to who?
FHWA,
Federal.
federal, to have the money obligated to the construction phase of the project.
We fortunately have a former employee of that agency.
Indeed, we do.
He hadn't been let go.
Yeah.
'Cause I've heard through the grapevine what Josh told me from the county.
Oh, no, he's working with us now. We have a former HFWA employee working with us.
Oh, so he was, yeah. Well, the story I heard is that the federal government has just about closed up those offices, the people there. And there's a fear that anything that goes to the federal government is going to hit Stonewall. They don't have people to approve the projects.
We're hearing some of that with the Corps. Similar problem.
That's wonderful.
Okay. But TDOT is moving.
They are, and we now have their reorganization is kind of mostly complete. We have a local programs engineer. He's an interim engineer. I don't know if he'll be permanent or not, but so previously there were no engineers in local programs. So the engineers reviewing these plans were just kind of doing it as they could in addition to a regular workload. Whereas now they brought engineers into local programs, so it is their responsibility to review these plans and make that a priority.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Didn't you tell us when they did that reorganization that was going to happen?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember us talking about that.
Yeah.
I
I think it'll be positive. In the long run.
well,
It was painful for a moment, but
yeah.
So best case scenario to start construction.
I would say best case scenario, advertising for bids in 6 weeks. And then starting probably 10 to 12 weeks. So you go through a pre-construction meeting and all of those things, the check boxes, but
Okay. Any questions on that?
Well, on light synchronization,
Yeah.
I want to thank the mayor sent us an email thanking our traffic engineer and the tech for that. And I was excited to hear him talk, his response that the blinking yellow lights. So what's the timeline for that? Blinking yellow lights to get them in. So when you turn left, you don't have to sit there when there's no traffic. you
Yeah.
know.
So we're still working through some of the communication information with Casey. Of course, she's out of town right now, but we did just receive the equipment in recently.
Oh,
We
good.
were waiting on that. So I would say within the next couple of weeks to a month, we would have some of those implemented.
Can our staff install them?
Yes.
Tracy's people can install them?
Adrian will.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. That'd be good.
He's excellent. They both are.
Excellent. Good. Good news.
All righty. Any other discussion on the light synchronization? I don't have anything extra. Mine's not worth really talking about.
No,
I'll just wait.
it's a good job.
It is. It's, I know we always get hammered by it, you know, but when it's all, I really believe that when it's all said and done, we're all gonna be proud and glad that it's done. So,
It is better since they,
oh, yeah.
I mean, I can detect a big change just manually.
Yeah. I know, listen, I mean, I know we do have sometimes our bad days, but that's just any city that's moving forward is gonna have that, but, you know, I've said earlier on, time and time again, that the traffic is a lot different going down Main Street,
Yes,
you
it
know,
is.
so, and other people, in fact, not only me, but the city's our all constituency have said things to me about it. So in all wards, so I'm grateful for that. If there's under other business, does anybody have anything? I do, and the mayor, you might be able to answer this. I don't know, and if it's something that I need to drop by your office. I'm sorry.
He said I have to go. But
Oh, do you? Okay, well then I can drop by.
we've got a couple minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, real quickly, and Andy knows a little bit about it too. I had a constituent call about one of the park or the lot down by Walton Ferry Road, and they want to name it Sunset Park. And I think you're familiar. The guy told me that he was going to contact you about it. And I said, well, that's probably the proper way to go. Actually, in my opinion, is go to Andy first, and then if he deems it cool, then send it to the mayor and let the mayor deviate. You know, because I mean, you've got a lot on your plate every day. So I know that is a federal park. But I don't know if there's are we allowed to name that park as a fit? I don't think we are, but I wanted to make sure that was the case there.
I definitely like that name better than Lock 30 Park, although Lock 30 has some history behind it.
Yeah.
But Sunset Park makes it sound a little bit more attractive. It's just we don't have a lease on it. We don't have any use agreement on it. It's not our park.
Okay, I wanted to make sure that what I said at least had some teeth back to the city, and that's what I said the same thing. So I wanted to make sure, and I'll contact that guy and let him know about it because I know he's contacted one of the homeowners association groups within the district about helping clean it up and the pathway, which I'm a big advocate for them to do that, and I think it would be. That would be proper. I mean, I think they'd be allowed to do that, or I'm sure they would. But thank you for that. I just wanted to make sure before I said anything else, because in the years I've done, I go, oh yeah, and then I go talk to the city and they go, oops. And then I have to go back and and everybody, then they realize what a dum-dum I am about things. Okay, you've answered my question. Any other dealings at all?
The only thing, last night, the parks put on the Isaacs concert.
Okay, all right.
It was the best concert that I've ever been at. It was fabulous. And I know the parks had to change from having it at Veterans to the Epic Center.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell you, Barry asked who all is from out of the state. I mean, there were hundreds of people raised their hand. There were even some from out of the country.
Wow.
There. So I want to thank the parks. Y'all patched that together superbly, and the Isaacs are just a treasure. They are a treasure for our city.
It was moving.
I'm telling you, the last three songs were religious songs, and I tell you, I was so moved, I was ready to give an offering.
Yeah.
I was so moved.
That's the point.
Yeah, that's the way.
It was an inspiring night. Good job.
As of this afternoon, 25,000 people viewed it online.
Wow. Yeah. Well,
It was a free event.
Yes.
It was free.
Yes.
Moving it inside, we had to cut tickets off at 1,100, and Normally, we give away like 2,500 when it's at the park. But everyone that showed up, we let in.
Really? Okay.
So
Oh, nice.
no one was turned away.
So I went to the park,
Yeah, I heard.
found out that it was not at the park, and then I saw the video and I thought, I am not about to take a ticket from somebody else.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we had a police pursuit
Oh, yeah.
that I went and spent some time with the police officers.
You need to read your Friday events.
You're right
update
about that.
email.
You're right about that.
Well, good job.
All right, well, thank you. Yes, all right. Hearing none, I just need a motion.
Motion adjourned.
All right, thank you.
Can you look at something over here?